Hey guys, Phil from Trail Talk here, and this week's episode of Trail Talk News, we look at the brand new for 2021 Marin Alpine Trail. So as you guys know, I own a Marin Alpine Trail 7 and I really love it. If you haven't checked out my review, definitely check it out. I'll put the link in the description for that one. And I know a lot of you wanted my thoughts on the new one when it came out, so before I can get a hand on my one, I'd like to give you guys my first thoughts. The rear suspension remains largely the same. However, the geometry, the spec has changed a fair bit. So let's jump in and see what it's all about. The suspension and frame remains largely the same for 2021, which is definitely a good thing. The frame is made from Marin's Series 4 6061 aluminium tubing, and it's got some nice big bearings throughout and dual cleavage joints on all the pivots as well, so nice and stiff. The rocker is made from one piece of forged alloy, and this keeps things nice and stiff. I definitely noticed how well the bike tracked in really rough stuff on the previous model, so it's good to see that's carried over. The rear suspension utilizes Marin's multi-track suspension, which is essentially a linkage actuated single pivot layout, and all the locations of the pivot points look very similar to the previous model, so I don't think this has changed too much, which is definitely a good thing, as if it's not broke, definitely don't fix it. There's 150mm of rear travel and then 160 up front, which slots it nicely into the enduro category. The biggest change for 2021 comes in the form of the geometry. The geometry has definitely shifted towards more of a full-on enduro bike now, which is good as the geometry of the old Alpine Trail was probably a bit too close to the Rift Zone, which was updated in 2020. The seat angle has been steepened significantly from 75.5 degrees on the size large to 78 degrees on all models now, which will help on steeper climbs, and the head angle's been slackened out from 65 to 63.5, so that's going to make things a bit more stable when it gets a bit faster and a bit more technical. The reach is also grown, and this will give a bit more stability as well. So the old model in the size large had a 465mm reach, and the new one has 480mm, so a little bit longer, as you can see there. So as you can see, the intentions of what the bike is capable of has definitely been lifted. Although it might not be as versatile as the old model, you can kind of use that as a bit more of an all-mountain bike. It's definitely now an even better option for those who really want to push the descents and race and that kind of stuff. And for those looking for more of a do-it-all bike, the Rift Zone's descends a lot better than the 125mm of rear suspension might suggest. So that's definitely a better option if you're looking for that kind of trail or mountain bike. So there are two alloy builds in the range, the 7 and the Super Burly XR. Starting off with the 7, which comes in at 3,899 Australian dollars and 2,499 US dollars. They have made a few tweaks compared to the old model that a lot of people have been asking for, mainly the rear shock. Once I put a bigger volume spacer in the X-Fusion shock on the old model, it was absolutely perfect. The problem was, for a lot of people, it was very hard to find these spacers. So it's good to see a shift to the RockShox Deluxe Select Plus for this year. It's going to be easy to find those volume spacers, and it's good to see it's got a lockout too. So the brakes have also been changed for this year to the Shimano MT424 pots compared to the old 4-pot Tektros in the old model. So it's going to be good, bit more stopping power, and you won't need to mess around with finding better pads and that kind of stuff like that. The brakes will be perfect from the get-go. Other than that, there's the great RockShox Yari, which is upgradable in the future. If you want to put the charger damper in that, you'll have a Lyric. You also get the new Shimano 12-speed Dior, which is great too, Trans-X dropper, then you've got wide tubeless ready rims, as well as V-snap tires. Next up, you have the XR, which comes in at 3,499 US dollars and 5,199 Australian dollars. It's essentially the privateer's build. It's burly and the money is spent where you need it, the suspension. You get a RockShox Lyric Ultimate up front and then a Super Deluxe Coil Ultimate in the rear, and that comes with a climb switch too. So that's a really great suspension package, top of the line stuff, which is pretty crazy at this price point. You also get a mixture of Shimano SLX and XT 12-speed drivetrain, and then you get the same MT424 pot brakes on the Alpine Trail 7. The money has been spent on the tires too. You get double down Assegai on the rear and an Exo Plus Assegai up front, and they're in some great compounds as well. So it's a pretty damn dialed package. You don't really need to change anything at all. If you want to go straight to the racetrack or go to the bike park, it's ready. So overall, if you're looking for a great value enduro bike to race, just purely climb for your descents, hit some bike park laps, there's not a lot out there that compete with the Marin for value. The suspension performance is very similar to, say, a common style Meta AM29. And for the equivalent model, the Marin's, if not slightly better or pretty much comparable. So the Meta AM29 Essential for this year comes in at 5,499 Australian dollars versus the XR at 5,199 Australian dollars. So when it comes to the Trail Talk scale, I'm going to have to give the Marin Alpine Trail for 2021 amazing. It's a great value bike and it's definitely going to serve you very well if you want to absolutely slay the descents. So there you go, there's my first impressions for the brand new for 2021 Marin Alpine Trail. The bikes will be available for pre-order soon in Australia through Bicycles Online, so if you are interested in getting one of the bikes, if you could use my affiliate link in the description, it's a great way to support the channel. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to give it a like, also subscribe to the channel, and if you've got any questions about the bike or anything like that, leave a comment and I'll get around to answering it. And as always guys, thanks for watching. See ya.